Okay, sir, start.
Okay, Emma, good morning. Good morning, all. So, today we discuss about classes, objects, and communication between the classes. Okay, so as I already told you, what is an object, what is a class? So, a class is a container for what we're going to implement with the object. The class contains the members. Members are instance variables as well as instance methods. Okay, so member variables fields in general, variables can act as fields of a class. So again, I'm repeating, variables are instance variables and local variables are available. Instance variables are used throughout the class. Instance variables are declared inside a class. They are available to the whole class. Anywhere you can use the instance variable. Where a local variable is declared inside a method, so that is local to that particular method only in which it is declared. Local variables cannot visible to the outside methods or outside environment. So a local variable is specific to a particular method only. And in addition to the local variables, we also use the terminology parameters. Parameters are also local variables. Parameters are declared inside the parentheses just beside the name of a method. And most important point is method and function. See, in your C programming, you have learned functions. Here you call the same terminology as method. Is there any difference between function and method? In different programming languages, different terminology we use. So there is a similarity between function and method, and there is a difference also. The difference is, say in your C programming, if you write a function, suppose the function does not returning anything, you have to write void. Whether or not you write void, it doesn't show you any error, but it is compulsory in Java. Because for a method, if there is no return value, the method should mention void as a prefix before the method name. Void, let us say some method means the method does not return anything. So you are informing to the compiler that my method does not wish to return or not returning anything to the outside environment. Okay. So variables are instance variable, local variables, and one more is static variables. Static variable concept next we learn. Okay. Just to see this example, a class employee. Class employee. So in this employee class, there are three variables. ID is there, name is there, salary is there. ID integer type, name string type, and don't confuse. There is a specific data type for defining strings. Unlike C, it is string here. In C, you have the practice that string can be defined as a character in your C. But here, there is a particular data type called string. So string name as well as salary. So these three are the instance variables, which are the fields of this class employee, which are the instance variables. You see, there are some methods. I inside the methods, the variables I, N, S, which are the local variables to those methods and which are the arguments. Arguments are in general, we write inside the parentheses, these brackets. Brackets are called parentheses. Okay, arguments in general receive values from the callers. Whoever wish to call a particular method, they need to give the value to the method so that these arguments will receive or accept the values from the callers, whoever call the method, particular method. Okay, now you understand the difference between instance variable and local variable. Instance variable ID, name, salary can be used anywhere. Can be used anywhere in the whole class, employee class. Okay, see the next thing. And methods are instance methods. Methods set ID, set name, set salary are the get employee details are the instance methods. And see, void is mentioning here, void, because the function methods set ID or set name or no single method is returning anything. That is all the methods are prefixed with void. Void means the method does not return anything. So now you understand the concept of class. So what we will do with the classes, how classes will communicate. The thing is, we have to create objects. Objects. So, for example, if you take an employee class, who is employee? Employee, how an employee should be defined by the skeleton of employee class. Class is just giving you a skeleton, a structure, how an object will be. So objects will be created later wherever you want. From there you create objects. Through objects you can communicate the classes. Okay, let us see. Okay, see. What about object? See, once a class definition is completed, if you go to the another class, if the class want to communicate with the class, what you have to do is you have to create an object for that class to which you want to create an interaction. For example, class A is there, communicate with class A, class B should have an object of class A. So you have to create object for class A. So how to create objects? Most important thing. So first of all, we have to create a reference. It is actually object creation is two steps. You need not confuse anywhere. Object creation, two steps. It is a two-step process. So the two steps are, first of all, you have to create an instance. you have to create a reference. First of all, you have to create a reference variable. Reference variable. Reference variable means, for example, your class is A. Suppose some AA. This is the reference variable. So in general, if you want to create any variable, what you require? Data type. So in this case, the type is class, because the variable belongs to that particular class type. So AA is a reference variable. AA is a reference variable. Is a reference variable of type A, class A. So in this case, the type is A. This is the first step. This step doesn't create any memory. This step is just a declaration. However, you are creating variables like intex, float, while like that. Just you have created a variable A as a reference variable of type class A. Okay, this doesn't give you any memory. So if you want to get the memory, what you have to do is you have to instantiate it. So you have to instantiate with the new operator. You have to use new operator to provide memory. Until you use new operator, it never gets memory. So in this step, we have to do like this. AA equal to, because AA is the reference variable, new, what is the class name? A. This is how you have to write new A. This means now AA is pointing to a particular memory where the memory is allocated because of you have used a new operator. So memory will be granted. Now this AA is physically pointing a particular memory location. Until then, there is no memory for AA. AA is just a variable. It doesn't point anything until you use the new operator. So this is a two-step process. Object creation is a two-step process. First step, you have to create a reference variable for the class to which you want to get the interaction. In the second step, you have to use the new operator to allocate the memory dynamically. Remember, dynamic memory. Okay, now you can combine these two steps into a single step. You can combine the above two steps into a single steps. Combine above two steps into a single step. You can write like this. So here the variable is creating and the memory is allocating to the variable. Now the variable AA is pointing an object where it is a physical location where this AA is now able to access all the fields and methods of the class A, whatever are created inside A. Suppose if you have created three variables in class A, ID, name, and age, for example, now AA is physically pointing that object and that memory location. Now AA can able to access all the three fields. AA can access ID, AA can access name, AA can access the age, because each object can have its own values. That is most important, remember. Okay, now let us see. This is what this slide is representing. So see, once a class is defined, you can declare a variable, that is the object reference of type class. So student, student1, employee, employee1. In the second step, here using the new operator, the memory is created, object is really created here only. Until then, no object, only it is a variable. EMP is a variable until you use assign with the new operator. Okay. So object references are in general used to store the objects. Okay. Reference variables are nothing but just like any other. However, you are creating the normal variables like intex, float, y, like that. It is only new operator is used to allocate the memory for an object dynamically. Where that allocation is done, the allocation is granted from the heap, and upon creating the object, it returns a reference for that. So that reference is then stored in the variable. So unless there is no reference, there is no meaning of the object also. The object is anyhow representing a physical location, and all the values, whatever the fields, whatever the methods are there, can be accessed through that object reference variable only. So how do we access? For the access purpose, we use throughout any object-oriented programming, whatever the language you are learning, the object, the member operator or access operator is dot, either class name or object name we use, it depends. So now in this case, we have to use the object name dot that particular field. For example, if you want to access employee ID, for example, what is the variable we have taken? EMP dot ID. EMP dot ID means EMP is an object, is a reference variable. EMP dot ID means the particular instance ID, the particular employee ID. Because you please remember, a class can contain as many number of objects. For example, you have created an employee class. That employee class can have any number of employees. Each employee can act as an object. So each object can have its own values, its own ID, its own name, its own age, and its own other particulars. And the operations also are specific to the objects. This is what the exact meaning of object and class requirement. Okay, so let us see this example. This is the employee class. Here ID, name, salary are the three. What are these three? Instance variables. Set ID, set name, set salary are the three methods. So here number is assigning to ID, string n is assigned to name, s is assigned to salary. So from there, these values are getting. The values are getting from here. Okay, so if you want, we'll see an example. Okay, class, for example, a int x float y. I'll show you how the values will come. So double, let us say some s. Okay, I'm showing you a simple example. Void display is the method. System.out.println x equal to, for the concatenation operator, plus. Similarly, y equal to plus y. Similarly, s equal to, okay, plus s. Okay, so class definition is over. Now what we have to do? We have to create another class, demo5, for example. This is the class which contains main method, public static void main string args. You can keep this square brackets either beside the arg or beside the string also. Anywhere you can place it, no problem. So now what you have to do, if you want to communicate this demo5 with the class AA, what you have to do is, first of all, you have to create an object for class AA. So I'm creating an object m as a reference variable. Now I am assigning this with new operator AA. Okay. So whenever I am doing like this, an object will build. The object is m is now pointing an object which holds the values of x, y, s with the default value. Since I do not initialize with any value. From here I can do this. So let us say m dot x. If I want to access x, m dot x, m dot y. Similarly, if I want to access m dot what is that? Yes, dot y is 16f. 16 point, let us say 16.7 f. This is, let's say 98.7, because second one is a floating point variable. This is how we have to access. So what do you want to? So now you want to call display, for example. Display is just simply need to call display method from here. Otherwise, for a simple example purpose, assign the values there only. Int x equal to 90, y equal to 13.6 f. As I already told you, f should be used as a suffix for a floating point value because the default double value is okay. Let us see. What is the class name, sir? What is the file name I have to choose? Demo 5. Demo 5.java. Okay. Let us see. Java C demo 5.java. Okay, run this. How to run? Java space demo 5. So what are the values? X equal to 90, y equal to 13.6, s equal to 34.5 because the values I have given here. Okay. Suppose if I want to get the values, for example, just a minute. Okay. So this is how we have to access. Now, if you want to have a method, for example, meth1, okay. So if you want to do like this, you can take variables p, float, q, double, r. Okay. So the values I will get from another class or from the caller, wherever I need the interaction with this class. So what I have to do is, values are not here. Values will be sent by the callers of the method. So the instance variables are initialized by this particular method. So x will be initialized by p, y will be initialized by q, similarly s will be initialized by r. Okay, so let us see. So what we have to do is, for this, what is the method name? Meth1. So from here I have to send the values. First value is an integer, let us say 58. Second value is a floating point value. Third value is a double value, 77.5. Okay, now let us see. So whenever you make a change to your Java program, you have to recompile the program. Okay, now run the program. Now the values are updated. Okay, x is 58, y is 26.7, s is 77.5. So this is how we have to define the methods, and this is how we have to pass the values to the methods from another classes like this. What I have done, I have just invoked the method name meth1 as m.meth1. I am sending the values from here. The order should be same. While you passing the parameters to a method, I need not explain this particular part in detail because you are all familiar with this. The order of arguments from sender side and receiver side, that is Actual arguments and formal arguments, order should be same. Order should not be deviated. Please remember this. Okay, this is about method and parameter passing. In parameter passing, there are two techniques. One is parameter passing. There are two techniques. One is pass by value. This is what pass by value means, passing the direct values of the arguments. The second technique is pass by reference. And you know that, I think you know that in C programming you have used this concept, call by reference. In that case, reference means address of variables you have sent. So in that case, pointers concept is exists in Java C, but there is no pointers concept in Java. So here we use objects. We can pass the objects as parameters for the methods. In the first case, pass by value case, you can pass the values of the parameters. Means if there are x, y, z like values or the variables are there, you can directly pass the values to the parameters. In the second case, pass by reference means, in that case, reference variables you have to pass. Reference variable for the corresponding classes. You have to pass as parameters to the methods. Okay, I will show you later that part. Okay, now I think everyone understand how one class can communicate with the another class. How do you communicate? First of all, you have to create an object, and through the object we can use the dot operator. Dot operator I use here and here also. Dot operator, object name dot the corresponding member name. Once again, I am repeating, what is a member of a class? Members can be instance variables, members can be instance methods also. So whatever you want to access, you just need the object name and a dot operator. That is, a dot operator is also called member access operator or simply member operator, followed by the corresponding either variable or a method. Simply call it as a member. Okay. Okay, now you see this example. In this example, set ID, set name, set salary are the three methods. For the three individual methods, the values are passing like this. EMP1 is the object name. EMP1 dot set ID 101 will be passed here. So this ID will be initialized by number. And next set name John will be sent to name. Similarly, salary 12,000 will be sent to this int s. So this s is then used to initialize the salary. So initializing the instance variables through methods. This is so how the instance variables are initialized. The instance variables for the employee class initialized through the methods. This is one. And another concept is there. I tell you. In general, a concept called constructor. The constructor for a class is used to build an object for the class. Object means object with the field values. All the fields of the object will be initialized whenever the constructors are created. Okay, I'll tell you the constructor concept next. See, next most important concept is constructor. So constructor means what? Physically, what is the meaning, and internally what happens, you must know. So whenever you are creating an object like, for example, employee E equal to new employee, by default, a default constructor will be created. And the default constructor will be created and the values are set to the default initial values, because you have not given anything. So constructor will be automatically created for the object. Now, if you want to create the constructors, you can do it manually. What is the need of a constructor? The constructor need is constructor is used to initialize or build the objects. Okay. So what is a constructor? A constructor has the same name as the class name. Very important, very important. A constructor has the same name as the class name. It is a method-like structure. Please note it. I will tell you. A constructor constructor is a method-like structure, not a method, method-like structure. Method-like structure. It has same name as class name. So it doesn't have any return type. So if you define a method, a return type in general will be there. If there is no return value, at least void we have to place. But in this case, for constructor, there should not be any return types or return values, not even void. Okay. For example, your class is employee. For example, your class is employee. There are two EID string, for example, name are the two fields. These are the two instance variables. If you want to write methods, how do you write methods? Like this, you write methods. Okay. So constructor should not like that. Constructor is employee. Employee. This is a constructor. What is the purpose of a constructor? Means purpose of a constructor is to build the object. Okay. So this is a default constructor in general. If I want to initialize this, so the values can be either initialized inside this constructor like this, for example, AYZ like this, or I can have a default. This is a default constructor. There are two types of constructors. There are two types of constructors. One is a default constructor. Default constructor. Default constructor means which takes no arguments. You see, there are no arguments. So this is a default constructor. So the another type of constructor is a parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor, where the constructor takes the parameters also. Parameterized constructor. A constructor can be like this, or a constructor can be like this also. For example, int x, comma, string yes, this is a parameterized constructor, second type. This is a parameterized constructor. How the object will be initialized? Similar to method, because EID will be initialized with x and name will be initialized by s. Whatever the value received for int x is used to initialize EID, and whatever the value received for s will be used to initialize name. So in this way, the instance variables for the class employee are initialized. Means the object is built. An object for the class employee is now built with the values x and s. Whatever value is received for s and whatever value is received for s are used to initialize EID and name. So that's it. That is how object is building. In the earlier case, how do you build your objects? With the help of methods. Now this is a better way of initializing the objects with the concept of constructor. So you see this first version, this is a default constructor, sir. This default constructor is not having any arguments, no arguments inside. It is just initializing the instance variables like this. What is the meaning of instance variables initialization? It is indirectly, it is a way of building the object for the class employee. Okay, now the object having values. This is one constructor. This is building one value, one object, and this is used to build another type of object for the class employee. Okay, now let us see how a constructor will be invoked. This is a very easy thing to understand. Let us say this is public static void main, public static void main, string or. Okay. See, what the class name? Employee. Employee E1. Okay. So this version, from this you clearly understand and clearly realize that a constructor will be automatically called whenever an object for the class is creating. Upon creation of the object for the class employee E1. Okay. So this is indirectly invoking the constructor also. This in constructor. This constructor will be called from this statement automatically whenever object for the employee E1 is creating. Because you see, this signature and this signature, both the signatures are matched. Someone may ask a question, sir, if I don't create a constructor, shall the constructor will be called? Definitely, irrespective of your creation, whether you create or don't create. By default, a default constructor will be created automatically upon the creation of object for the class. మీరు క్రియేట్ చేసినా చేయకపోయినా కూడా ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ will be created automatically with the default values. But now the values are e1.eid is 123 and e1.name is ayz. That is what default. Now you see the second version, employee E2. Okay, now employee. So now what you are doing is you are 247 comma a value like Harish is given. So this invokes the second version of this particular version will be invoked. So since it is a parameterized constructor, so this construct is first value 247 is taken to received by X and Harish will be received by S. These two are used to initialize the object. So now an object is built with the values 247 as EID and Harish as the name for the object employee. So this is the concept of constructor. And you see, I am created two constructors. This is one, this is another. So this concept is called constructor overloading. Means the constructors can be overloaded with different versions. You see, this name of this constructor is same because the constructor name and class name should be same. Okay, I can have another constructor also. For example, sir, can I have, for example, only one variable? Definitely, ID. This is also possible. One value is initializing in this case, another value will be set to the default. Okay. Let us see. Okay, this is what the constructor is. So once again, what is a constructor? Constructor is a method-like structure which has the same name as class name, which should not have any return type, not even a void. So constructor can be defined with any access specifier. Access specifier means public, private, like that. So how many constructors a class can contain? Can be any. Can be any more than one constructors can be created or contained by a class. So constructors can be overloaded also. So when a constructor will be invoked, this is most important. A constructor can be automatically invoked upon creation of an object. Wherever you are creating an object with a new, so immediately the constructor will be called for object building. Suppose if you create a constructor, the constructor will be created, the object will be built with the values we have given. Suppose if you don't create any constructor, sir, I don't have any idea about constructor, I never create a constructor, no problem, sir. Whether or not you create a constructor can be automatically create, a default constructor will be automatically created and the object will be built with the default values if you don't initialize it. Okay, most important. Constructors are in general useful for the object building purpose, initializing the object. You see this example, sample. So there is a variable ID. This is a private int ID variable. So the first one, sample. This is the default constructor. First one is the default constructor, sample. Here the value ID is initialized. The purpose of constructor is to initialize the instance variable. Remember. So the second type of constructor is, this is a default constructor, which is taking a variable into num ID equal to num is initializing. Okay. So these are called from here. If you want, we can run this program. System.out.println. Okay, like this we can give, and for this let us test. Oh, sorry, written something. After this is a comment. Okay, so steps 3 plus. So first object is, first constructor is build an object with the values 123 and AYZ as name. Second one is default, this is parameterized constructor which builds the object with the values 247 and Harish, which we are sending from this object creation statement. See, constructor need not be created separately, like however your methods are created. For example, if this class is containing a method called like let's say display. Okay, this is just displaying some message, system.out.println hello, and please students. Okay, suppose if I want to invoke this method, I have to call separately, that is with the like this, I have to invoke separately. But for a constructor, you need not do it separately, because constructor will be automatically called whenever you are creating the object. Okay, this is what a constructor is. Next, most important terminology. Everybody should understand this very clearly. This keyword. So I think people may got the question. Sir, there are variables int ID, string name. So which are the instance variables? So when I am creating a function or when I am creating a constructor, can I have the same variables as int ID and string name? Why should I use some other? Can I have int EID, same as instance variable. Local variable and instance variable are same now. Can I have like this? Definitely. Definitely, you can have the same name and same type as instance variable and local variable. You can have EID of int as instance variable, EID of int as a local variable, and same name as an instance variable and local variable. So now the question is how to differentiate. How to differentiate this? These two are instance variables, sir. Instance variables. These are instance variables. Here, EID and EID comma name are the local variables. Local variable parameters also local variables. Local variables. Now the question is, if I am using both EID and the name, EID of instance variable, EID local variable, if I want to use both at same place. So now the question is, which one is instance variable, which one is a local variable? How do I make a difference? So how do I represent the instance variable in this case? So an instance variable can be referred or used or accessed with a keyword this. This keyword, we can use this keyword. We can use this keyword to refer the instance variable when the instance variable name and local variable name are same. Name and type are same. So if I want to use both at the same place, definitely this right side EID is the local variable. This dot EID is this means this always holds the current object. The current object reference is holding by a keyword this. This always hold the current object upon which the invocation is made. Okay. So this always holds the current object. So current object values it holds. So if you use this dot EID, that this dot EID refers to that is the instance variable EID. This right side EID means that is a local variable. Okay. So that is the use of primary use of this keyword. This keyword is used to this keyword is used to represent or refer the current object. In general, this keyword always holds the current object. So this is used to differentiate both the instance variable and the local variable. Local variable, if they are same, means same name and same type. If I want to keep EID int EID for both instance variable and local variable, definitely I can represent that, but there should be some distinguishing technique, that is this keyword we have to use, because this always refers to the current object upon which the invocation is made. Please remember. So this dot, you have written this dot something, means that this dot means this is used to refer to the current object's value. Means this dot EID means that is the instance variable EID, not local variable EID. Remember, here I have used this dot EID. In general, whenever you use the constructors, definitely you do like this only. This dot name equal to name. So in the next class, I tell you the Eclipse environment demonstration. There you can enjoy all these benefits. You need not type all these. You can automatically generate all these getters and setters, constructors, everything. Okay. Once you're comfortable with this environment, notepad and command prompt accessing, definitely then we can go for the high level, that is Eclipse environment, so that all this programming burden for you will be minimized. First you learn in this manner, later we go for the Eclipse environment. Okay, this is what this keyword. Okay, so use of I just explain again. Each class member function contains an implicit reference of its class type. This reference is created automatically by the compiler. It contains what this keyword. This keyword contains the address of the object through which the function is invoked. So this keyword is used to refer to the instance variable when there is a clash with local variables or method arguments. Means if the local variable and instance variable are same name, same type. Second is this is also used to call the overloaded constructor. So suppose if you are creating a constructor, parameterized constructor, for example, 3 parameter constructor, you can invoke the previous constructor, overloaded constructor, with the help of this because the same can be there. See this example. Void set id, int id is an argument variable. This id is an instance variable. So if you want to use both at the same place, you have to use like this dot id equal to id. Okay. See in this case, see the statement. This is used for calling the overloaded constructor also. This dot Java means this is used to call the second version, this one. So this will be invoked this to pass Java as an argument. Okay. So this keyword is also used to call the overloaded constructor. This is what this keyword. Okay, you have learned the classes, objects, how to create classes and how to communicate classes with objects, and this keyword and constructor overloading. The another concept is static class members. Static. Most important concepts are static. When we use static, see, as I already mentioned you, a class can contain any number of objects. Any number of objects means any number of instances. Each object is unique. Each object is unique means each object can have its own values. Whenever you create an object, a corresponding reference will be created and the hexa code will be created for the object. Okay, hash code will be created for the object. That is unique in general. Okay, so now static members means when you want to have the same values for all the objects of the class, irrespective of the object. It is not specific to any particular object. All the objects will have the same values. In that case, you can make the corresponding member as static. If you have a member static means that member is common to all objects. That member is not specific to any particular object, like in a normal manner. Normally, how you are doing? You are creating the class. You are having some fields like EID, ename, like that. If you want to have the individual object, you are creating the objects, and you are having the own values. If you want to, this point is the static means if you want to make some particular member is as common to all, then you can make that member as static. That can be a static method, that can be a static variable also. So static variables are shared among all the objects, unlike the normal object fields. Okay, only one copy exists for the entire class. So the same copy will be shared among all the members, all the objects. All the objects in that case have the same value for the member. Whatever the member, you made it static. So that is the use of static. So static values or members are common for all the objects. And most important point is if you want to get access for a member for a particular class, what you are doing, you are first need to create an object, and then through the object you are invoking the member. For example, this static concept is most important. For that only I am explaining you. For example, employee class employee is there. Class employee is there. For example, int id double salary is there, and there is a, for example, there is a method get details. is there. So something is inside it. Okay. So forget about that code. For example, this is a class. This contains the main method with the public static void main. Okay, like this. You should not write like this. Just explanation purpose only. I'm writing like this. PSVM public static void main. Suppose if you want to get anything there, what you have to do? First of all, you have to create an object. Employee E new employee. Then only you are able to access anything. You have to write like this. Get details like this. So however, how you are using? You are invoking through this object name, reference name, e dot get details. So for a non-static member, suppose if there is a static member, suppose you have made it a static. For that case, you should not do like this. You need not do like this. You can directly employee dot get details like this with the class name. Class name is sufficient. Class name is sufficient to access a static member. Remember, class name is sufficient, no need of any object. So now the point is, you should remember who can access static member. No, anyone can access static member. No, the answer is no. A static member can be accessed by another static member only. A static member can be accessed by another static member only. Since this public static void main is a static one, that is why here you are using that static member get details with the class name. With the class name, you need not create any object for that case to get the access of get details method. Since it is static, static member is common to all objects. Okay. Okay, so static methods. And most important thing is static methods cannot access this and super references. We cannot use with this and we cannot use with super. Because why? Because this is used to refer a particular object's variable. Because this is used for the current object. It always holds the address of current object. So we cannot use this with the static with this, because static member is common to all the objects. So this refers a particular object upon which the method invocation is made. Similarly, super, I tell you later, super is used to refer the super class member, means the parent class member. Okay, so that is why we can't use the static with super and this keywords, and static members can be accessed by only static method, static another static member, not by any other non-static member. A clear example I tell you, a clear example where exactly we are using. This is for your programming purpose. We are using square root, for example, square root. How you are writing square root? Math dot square root. If you want to get the square root of some, for example, 5 or 50, you are directly writing with math dot square root, math dot sqrt, where math is the class name. This math is the class name. So the square root is a static member. That is why you are directly invoking from the class name. Otherwise, you have to create object. I'll tell you another example for a non-static. Suppose you are defining, you are using scanner object. For that scanner object, you are not accessing any method like this, scanner dot something. You first need to create an object like this, and you have to attach the standard input stream, that is the keyboard, to this method, and then only you are accessing like this, sc dot something. But in this case, your sqrt, you are directly accessing from the class name, since that sqrt is a static member. Okay, most important thing. So static members doesn't require instantiation. Instantiation means No need of object creation. Directly you can access them with the class name. Okay, this is about static, most important thing. See this example. Static demo. Variable a equal to 0, that is a static member. Public void set is a non-static method. Public void show, it is also a non-static method. Okay, you see, so from this a will be a is 0. So public void set is invoked from here 1 comma 1. So that can be directly used by class name. Here this example is not at all similar. I have shown that example is that is good. Okay, so now another important point about static is static members will get priority, high priority when compared to non-static members in the execution point of view. And you have to know the another concept which is also related to static, that is static block. However, your class can have static members, fields, variables, or methods. You can have static blocks also. Static block, what is the purpose of a static block? Uh, you see, if you write a class or if you have some program, there should be some execution order. Sequential execution order will be done in general. There may be some control structures may be there. So the order will be either sequential or can be in a controlled manner. Okay. If you have a static block, in general, whenever you start execution, in general, the starting point is in general main. You think, suppose if you have some particular part of code inside the static block, the meaning is the purpose is why we are having a static block means in order to prioritize that particular part of code. So a static block will have the highest priority among all the other parts of your program. So if you want to uh, get prioritized a particular part of statements, definitely you can keep inside the static block. The static block will be executed first and then only the remaining part of your program will get executed. This is practically you can observe. Okay, check it. Okay, sir. With this, I stop demonstration. So up to static part is finished. In the next class, I go for inheritance and the other parts. If you have any doubts, you can ask me the chat box, or you can ask me later to my mail, or I will give you my phone number also. You can contact me. Hello, sir. Okay, ma. First question. What is the output of the following program? So you see, class test int I. So the value test t is just created as a reference variable, but no memory is allotted. Okay. So t dot I definitely it is a compile time error. First question. Second question, what is garbage collection in the context of Java? Garbage collection means once your job is done with the objects, in general, Java recycles through all the objects for the existence purpose. If an object is no longer needed, the object will be no more. Means no reference will be object. Okay, object reference will be deleted by the JVM. Okay, second option, memory used by the object with no reference is automatically reclaimed. Okay, next. Means unused objects will be automatically cleared. Okay, garbage collection in Java is automatic in Java. Garbage collection part is automatic in Java, unlike C. In C, it is manual. You have to do it. Malloc, calloc, realloc, finally you have to free. But in Java, you need not do it. Automatic garbage collection will be done. Okay, next question. Which of the following is wrong? Final keyword. Actually, final keyword is used for three different purposes. One is to avoid the overriding of method. Same method cannot be there if you make a method. I will tell you in the inheritance part. This question is not covered. This part is not covered. Okay. Tomorrow's class, next class will definitely cover it. Method overriding it don't allows, and no inheritance is possible if you make define a class with final keyword. There is no more inheritance is possible. Similarly, if you define a variable with a keyword final, the variable become a constant. So no more changes are possible. So fourth question, what is the solution for runtime polymorphism? So solution for runtime polymorphism is dynamic method dispatch. Answer is dynamic method dispatch. This is also covers in the next class actually. Dynamic method dispatch means method invocations are made dynamically with the help of a superclass reference variable. In general, we create a superclass reference variable. To that superclass reference variable, individual objects can be assigned to that superclass reference variable, so that the superclass reference variable at that time holds only the current object, whichever object is assigned. So if you make a call to a particular method, that specific object's method will be invoked, whether it is a superclass or a subclass, if it is a subclass with subclass object. Okay. So these last two questions will be covered in the tomorrow's next class. Okay. Thank you. If you have any doubts, definitely you
Sir,
can.
there is a question in the like I have asked them whether this PBL app is working fine or not. Somebody asked like there is server problem. So please address them, sir, if there is any such something like.
PBL app problem. Huh?
Uh,
Okay. Okay. So PBL app, if any problem occurs in general, a problem with the server, too many hits are there at a time, definitely there may be a problem. At that time, just you have to relog in, problem may be resolved. And if you have any topics, suppose if a PBL app, suppose while you are reading any problem or any understanding problems are there, definitely you can ask me immediately. You can mail me or you can call me. Definitely will resolve your problems. Okay.
so as informed yesterday, as informed earlier, we'll be creating another more classroom, sir.
Yes.
So yesterday we have created classroom, sir, but there it's it's having limitation to
Uh,
only 250 students.
oh,
So we are creating two classrooms for ECEEE, sir,
yes, sir.
and two classrooms for CSIT, so that everyone can be accommodated in that.
Yes, sir.
Students, if you have any question, you can post them in the classroom. Okay, your teachers will be responding timely. Okay, every teacher will be available in that classroom. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. I'm ending the session.